Florida had their spring game yesterday. What can we take away from this practice 15 out there in Gainesville? Because that's really what it is, right? A lot is going to be made of seeing 11-on-11 football in the swamp, and we're going to take part in that, I promise you. We have to also try and take a deep breath, understand now what we see in this spring game is not necessarily a definitive statement on what they're going to be in the fall, but nonetheless, we're going to take a temperature of what we saw and try and give our best diagnosis for what we can diagnose to this point in the spring for Florida. Really quickly, make sure you're subscribed here. If you're watching a spring game reaction video, a little bit of a college football junkie, right? Well, we probably have to fall in that same category because we're here on a Sunday morning giving you a spring game reaction. So what I'm trying to say here is we're one and the same here. You're a psycho for this sport. We're a psycho for this sport. Let's link arms together. The best way for us to do that is by you subscribing to this channel and also by following me on Twitter and Instagram at JD Piquel. Let me know what y'all thought about this there. But yeah, we appreciate y'all being cut from the same cloth as us. So let's have ourselves a great little launch into the, I guess, outer parts of the spring season. Graham Mertz, man, and what he did yesterday continues to, I think, provide confidence that you have what you need at quarterback with him running the show. We'll talk about DJ Lagway in a second. Graham Mertz being in year two, I think, is a widely overlooked X factor when it comes to the Florida Gators. Because we all understand this now. There is a very, very distinct difference between running plays as the quarterback and orchestrating the offense. And I think Graham Mertz last year, you saw him do a little bit of both. I think in year two in this system, we're going to see him do a lot of the latter. Because he looked in control yesterday. He knew where to go with the football. There wasn't a whole lot of Graham Mertz having to break, contain, and scramble and find a way to get rid of the football. Like, he got pressure, he checked it down. He got out of his drop, he threw the ball on time. Again, it's the spring game. It's going to look different against Florida's defense in practice 15 of the spring than it will whenever you play an SEC opponent. We understand that. But the bottom line here, I think, remains the same. You have a stable, consistent, steady force in Graham Mertz playing quarterback for you in Gainesville. That should be encouraging. That should be exciting because here's the deal, man. A lot of teams in college football, a lot of teams in the SEC have question marks at quarterback. I don't think you do at Florida. Is Graham Mertz going to win the Heisman Trophy? I don't know about all that. But I think what you need to succeed is competency at quarterback in college football. Florida has that. Going back to this narrative around Florida being just so far off the grid and they're going to miss a bowl game, like the schedule's ridiculous. I understand that. But Graham Mertz, I think, gives you a chance more often than not in every single game. Okay, so take of that as you will. The final scoring drive by him to set up, I believe the winner of this game got some J's. So shout out to Graham Mertz and co for getting themselves some J's, I would imagine, at some point on Sunday. That was encouraging to see. Chips are stacked against you. You got to find a way to get a scoring drive to win the game. Like a lot of situations last year for Florida where it came down to that final drive or final game, and it wasn't always on Graham Mertz, but the point remains the same there. To see you be able to execute at that level in that situation, it's a spring game, but still in the swamp, a lot of folks watching. Hard to take a negative away from that. Now, Eugene Wilson, man. How awesome is he if you're a Florida fan, dude? He's going to be the focal point of this offense. There's no way around it. Was targeted 11 times yesterday, had 8 catches, 128 yards, long touchdown. Just get him the ball, right? Like, I have to imagine that's the thought process offensively for Billy Napier and the staff. Let's find a way to get number 3, Trey Wilson, Eugene Wilson, whatever you want to call him, find a way to get him the football, whether it be lining him up in the slot like we saw, like whether you line him up out wide, we saw that too. The more he gets the football, the more good things are going to happen. Period. Mic drop. The end. That's not rocket science. However, the more answers you can have outside of getting number 3 the football, the more great things are going to happen. Understand now, when Eugene Wilson goes for the stat line he had yesterday, goes for over 100 yards, goes for a touchdown in the first half, whatever, when he has stat lines like he did in that game, whether it's in the second half of a football game, whether it's in the following week, teams are going to start to key on number 3. And so going back to what I just said, getting him the football, good things will happen. 100% true. But the more that you can have a counterpunch to getting number 3 the football, great things will happen. I mean, I think Jaden Baugh running the rock for them yesterday looked really good. You know what Montrell Johnson is. Hopefully there can be a little bit of a demand there for teams to have to stop the run, I think Shamir DK, a guy who our folks at Gators Online, the Florida On 3 site, have been pounding the drum for, Zach Albaverdi specifically, shout out my guy Zach, he's been on that since he got to Florida with Shamir DK transferring over from Wisconsin. There's chemistry there with him and Graham Mertz. Sounds like he had a really solid spring. I'm telling you, they're going to have some guys now that can make some plays within that wide receiver room. It's a matter of them stepping up. Shamir DK, a guy that I think we would all be wise to pay attention to, but it's no secret. The offense goes through 3. Now, Graham Mertz, hear me clearly, because I understand the spring game was yesterday. A lot of juice, a lot of hype, which is what spring is for a lot of these guys on this roster, especially your young bucks. This is Graham Mertz's football team. No ifs, no commas, period. Now, with that being said, if you're a Florida Gator fan, it's hard not to get fired up from the flashes you saw from DJ Lagway yesterday. There was a lot of, that's why he was the top quarterback in those final 2024 rankings for On 3. Oh, that's why he was, I believe, the Gatorade National Player of the Year. Oh, that's why he's second on our depth chart, it seems right now, at the quarterback position as a true freshman early enrollee. Like, was it perfect? No, but some of the flashes you saw from him, man, gets you very excited for the future. Have to believe that yesterday he helped himself with having some packages when it comes to the game plan of 2024. I do not expect him to be redshirted if it were my opinion. It was encouraging to see him uncork the football. Nice touchdown pass, tight window to Aiden Mizell. Saw him look good in the RPO game, too, in that red zone, throw another touchdown. I was impressed by how he got out of pressure and threw the ball off platform, which is kind of the trendy phrase everyone likes to use for quarterbacks these days. But DJ Lagway, I saw him do it a few times yesterday. And also, we didn't really even get to see him run the football at all. He's wearing that non-contact jersey. So there's another element of his game that we weren't able to get a full gauge for in that spring game yesterday. So, again, Graham Mertz's football team, but DJ Lagway did a lot to get you fired up in the swamp. Defensively, probably a little bit of a Rod Wave protocol, if you don't understand what I'm saying there. Your heart been broke so many times, you're not sure what to believe. You're a little bit cautious for gaining some confidence, gaining some optimism. That's okay. I think it's okay, though, too, to take yesterday for what it was. I think it was a pretty solid showing by the defense. Will it translate to the fall? We'll find out. I sure hope so if I'm a Gator fan. But I think it's fair to be excited about the positives that you saw. Everybody understands now this unit should be improved from what they did in 2023. The roster overall, the talent level they have there is better than what they had in 2023 if they're able to stay healthy. Pup Howard, young buck at linebacker, getting some reps. I thought he looked good. 6 tackles on the day. I believe that was tied for the high in the spring game. Asa Turner, transferring over, playing his 97th year of college football from Washington. I love what he brings in that secondary, man. I love seeing him get downhill and try and lay the lumber a little bit. I'm sure he'll do that a lot more in the fall than he did in the spring game. There's better depth overall, all around. So that defense, again, take it for what it is. A good practice, a good big-time, very visible practice with some pressure, with some game-like scenarios there. Like, be encouraged by it. It's okay to have some optimism around what that defense is going to be relative to what they were last season. So is Florida a finished product? No, nobody is in the country. Was Florida perfect yesterday? No, there's some things to clean up. It was spring practice 15. It is what it is. But I keep on coming back to this thought, man, and we've kind of been on the mountaintop of this take for a while here, and so if we're wrong, we'll be very, very visibly wrong, but if we're right, we'll be very visibly right. I do not buy the narrative that Florida is just left for dead. You say, JD, but the schedule, I understand the schedule is ridiculous. I understand the schedule is the Hunger Games. Folks in Gainesville get that too. The folks in that locker room get that too. But this idea that somehow they're not going to be competitive, I don't understand where that comes from. Last year, they played a lot of young bucks in that secondary. Last year, it was Graham Mertz's first time running the offense, and he did so pretty effectively. Eugene Wilson, Trey Wilson, whatever you want to call him, he's a dog for them. He's going to see a lot more of the football his second year in that offense. He was a true freshman last year, and I think it's pretty fair to say that he was their best offensive player. This team's going to cycle up in a lot of ways this upcoming season. And will they have the best roster every single Saturday? I don't know if I believe that, but I have a hard time believing they're just not going to be competitive. I think the culture they have in place, along with that roster, is going to make them a very difficult out in a lot of games. Because a lot of folks kept trying to tell me that Florida, the culture's bad. They're not going to do this. They're not going to do that. Florida could have packed it in multiple times last year and refused to do so. A couple of games that really would have, should have, could have won. And then, you don't get credit for coulda or shoulda won a game. But, like, the idea they're just so far removed from being competitive and, oh, Billy Napier's fired by October. Like, you're entitled to your opinion, but we're also entitled to ours. And we do not believe for a second that they're going to be just an easy out and people are going to walk all over them. Rosters, I think, more competitive than people want to give credit. You have a capable, competent quarterback, which is the price of admission for success in college football. And this is a team that I think is bought into what they're trying to get done this third year from Billy Napier. And I think this is a team that appreciates that chip on their shoulder. And I think it's going to pay dividends. So just a spring game. Don't want to take too much from it, but a lot to be encouraged by, a lot of cause for optimism, as what the spring's for, based on yesterday's spring game. So let me know what y'all thought about this on Twitter, on Instagram, at JD Pakel. Let me know how y'all feel. Make sure you subscribe to it. You're a college football sicko a lot like us, and we just appreciate y'all for that. So we appreciate y'all. We love y'all. Going to keep this party rolling as we always do, and we will see y'all next time. Hey, y'all. Thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also, be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.